We're gonna get started with our last department of the day, Arts, Business, and Culture. We have our director here. If you want to just state your name and title for the record, and then you can kick us off.
Yeah, Alan Swiger, Director of Arts, Business, and Culture. How y'all doing?
Good.
Doing well, thanks.
Home stretch, guys. All right.
Save the best for last.
There you go. Appreciate that.
She did say.
I didn't. You want to start with Poplar Hill Mansion? I feel like it's probably the easiest one.
Yes.
19600. Really, honestly, very minimal change. Just as a reminder, Poplar Hill and the arrangement we have with the Friends, they handle all the programming, they handle all the interpretation, the artifacts. We handle maintenance of the facility and contracting Sarah Myers as our curator, who also lives there. She acts as our security. She acts as our maid, a little bit of everything. So really, well, it's in there. Really, what's in there, though, is just a slight increase to her salary, market adjustment, as the same with everybody else that we do in the city. For context, she was underpaid. She was paid less than the minimum grade and step that we had in the city.
Man.
So this gets her kind of up to par with everybody else.
Wow.
It's the only change in the budget for Poplar Hill Mansion. Any questions there?
The only
Siding coming.
question I have is for the lands and grounds. I know that stayed pretty consistent as far as what's been budgeted, but the actuals came in really low. What did we not do, or what?
Different contracting service.
Oh.
So we don't use field ops will supplement on some of the bigger projects, but it's
Okay.
mostly grass cutting and weeding.
Wow.
So having Oscar on the team downtown who's certified, sometimes he'll go over and weed and just maintain the facility a little bit.
That's nice of him.
Yeah,
Okay.
helps out.
We
He said, "Don't tell."
we got the irrigation going again too, so or they did. Yeah, got the irrigation going. So
Okay.
hopefully it'll look a little brighter around there.
Oh, the grass will grow better now.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, that's good though. Thank you for highlighting that.
The only other piece with Poplar Hill to elaborate on is in the CIP. It's $150,000 for the third phase of the work that's done on the exterior. As a reminder, 2 years ago, we replaced the east and west bottom side of the siding. This year, we replaced the front and the back on the bottom side. So the $150,000, what it gets us is the shutters, which are down in the basement, to get them restored and back up. And it restores the exterior on the top portion all the way around the building.
Is the historical or the foundations are they a part of?
Yeah, the Maryland Historical Trust neighborhood is part of everything here.
I just have to say it, but thank you all for that.
And just depending on where that all comes in, the last phase is putting HVAC and some positive airflow into the attic. It's a good space. It's a good space for programming, and the Friends have a few ideas of what they want to do up there. So we'll stretch that dollar as far as we can.
Thank you.
We can switch to 11600 Development Services. So I think the biggest significant jump you're going to see as a totality is what we mentioned earlier, is consolidation of staffing. We've had people in field ops, we've had people in project accounts for Maryland Folk Festival. So it's about getting my team in the right accounts so they're working in the right budget. So there was a 45001 account, it was a parks account. It lives in field ops, it was managed by our department. So we shifted the employees out of there into the 11600. And then our events and culture manager, who was in the 10125 project account for the Folk Festival, is now in the 11600 account. So no additional funds beyond like the normal increases that would happen, but it's just putting them all into this right account. Some of the other minor changes you'll see is in the professional services line. I'd just like to explain what the purpose of that is. And I'll back up. There's been no additions to this. It's just a balance of the funds throughout different accounts and how we've used them. I'll remind everybody we're 3 years old as a department, so there's still some fine tuning of where the funds are going to be used. But this is a pretty good balance here. And in the professional services line, you'll see it's up at 25,000 instead of 10. That was a movement of funds from the marketing line. What that is going to be used for and has been used for is, if you remember a year ago, we had a MIP grant that was used for event recruitment. It was what allowed us to help bring on new events. So people would apply, go through this grant process, and we would award them $2,000 to $3,000 to bring an event into our community. That was hyper-focused on downtown. We are seeing now growth outside of downtown. A lot of our parks, a lot of our streets. We're seeing some 5Ks, some from different races and bikes and stuff come through. So we want to have this money available so we can start collaborating with tourism, the Wycomico Tourism Department a little bit more, getting out, attending some of these events and be proactive in our recruitment of events while still being able to support and the homegrown ones that we do have. So your Juneteenths, your Pride festivals, we still want to make sure we can support them financially there. So that's what that increase is there. Art and maintenance is also not necessarily an increase. That was in a different line item down in 577012. It just says art. We find a lot of success. We have a really good relationship with the Maryland State Arts Council, so we're seeing a lot more grants come through. So Salisbury Prize, we do have the one coming up in the city park. So the installation of new stuff is thriving, and we can work with our partners and collaborators to do so. However, we need to make sure we take care of what we have. So that $15,000 has been moved into the maintenance to help revive some of the pieces we have. A lot of that goes into lighting, some infrastructure things that just get deteriorated. Outside of that, it's pretty much a balance. There was a slight increase to SWED and Salisbury Wycomico Art Council per their requests. They do a great job. They're great for our city as in the community as a whole, so we felt it was worth giving them a little bit extra. I think it's been a while since we've increased those accounts. Andy, can you elaborate on sister cities? I'm not entirely sure what that is.
That was going to be one of my questions.
Yeah, there's three in there kind of in a row. We had SWED lives in there, SWAC lives in there, and Sister Cities. They all live in Allen's account. At some point, we could probably move them over to the mayor's account because we maintain those direct funding allocations typically. Maybe SWED stays because it's economic development. Mayor can jump in on Sister Cities.
Yeah, I met with George Whitehead over the last couple of years, and it's a great concept of an idea of us sharing our values and interests in different cultures, but they didn't really have a lot of meat on the bone. So this is an idea of providing some revenue, or some money for 2 kids, maybe 3, if they're willing to match fund it, to go to one of our, or both, or all 3 of our sister cities, either, and come back stay with a, like a, what do you call it? Exchange, yeah. Exchange family and experience it firsthand, and to have sort of maybe write a paper and take some pictures and so it kind of puts a little more life to the concept rather than just it being, it was kind of a, for lack of a better term, nebulous thing for me. And so I was like, okay, let's do something that would be really cool for the SU students who, I guess he has an intern every year that does all the work. So it's a neat thing. I think it's a neat program, but I think this would add some interest to it. So I think we're going to try to get SU, if they can, find $3,000 as well to help, so we'd match fund.
Okay, so this is for SU students then?
Well, it could be. We actually didn't really set a limit.
High school would be,
Could be high school.
high school's more likely to be
Yeah,
exchange, because
that's what-
there's something specific for, especially for college kids. They do, kids will go over for an entire semester abroad, so there are programs there. I'm thinking more working with the public schools. I know we've been talking about working with the public schools. If we want to do something like that, I wouldn't think that might be
We used to have the
something.
exchange program
Yeah.
here. I don't know if we still do have foreign exchange students.
Yeah.
They would come here, and then we would go, some of the students would go over there.
Yeah, I was going to let George's group kind of devise the guidelines. Maybe it's a writing contest or whatever, an essay of why they want to do it and what their interest is and that sort of thing. So I just thought it added a little bit of life to the program. So
It's a good idea in terms of, and I also feel, I agree, high school, because some of your high school students may not ever have an
get to go.
opportunity to do something
Right,
like
that's-
this.
he suggested that as well. So.
And it also
College
looks
might.
really good on
This is
college
true.
applications, things
Right.
like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's something like that, I
And it
think.
may be another insight on life for them to see something different, to make them want to do something different.
You become our sister city ambassador.
Yes.
Put it on the resume.
I mean, that's essentially that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's something that would be good for our kids to get into college later.
Yeah.
So it is with Salisbury University,
Yeah.
and it's a partnership. We used to partner, but it's with Wycomico County SU. UMES used to be a partner, but I'm not sure now. Yeah, I think we should.
Really?
I would like
UMES
to.
has a pretty robust student abroad program.
Okay.
For the high school students.
I think so.
I don't think it's high school though. Is what I'm. I don't think it's.
Who?
I don't think this is with high school.
Sister-
I think this is,
Sister City, the Sister City?
yeah, I think it's,
Sister Cities?
yes. Sister Cities, I think is college, collegiate level. I believe. is
That's
what-
George Whitehead, right?
Yeah, the Sister Cities, and its concept is us with a different sister city, Salisbury, England, Tartu, Estonia.
Yeah.
Within those relationships, a lot of times the local universities are attached. Some people go a step further and will have local school systems, K through 12, that are connected. A lot of it is, but it's all stemmed based off of the legislative branches, executive branches, relationships mayor to mayor, for example. But depending on if whatever type of relationship we have with our sister city, it can be an exchange program with students for the summer. It can be something that's at a university level. It's whatever we want to set up with it. This just gives money, and an allocation specifically to kind of pick one of those paths that makes the most sense. That also has a reciprocal desire from the sister city if they want to be participated. So this gives us an opportunity to come up with something.
Cool.
Look at
Thank
here,
you.
and I don't see anything where it says, it specifies whether it's college or not.
Yeah.
Well, it may be something to take up with the Wycomico County Board of Ed, too.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I'd like to include them in the conversation.
SWED, the additional funding there.
I think it speaks for itself. I think they've consistently done a tremendous effort and brought a lot of taxable revenue into the city.
Is like a incentive. Was that his request or what? I know, because you didn't.
Oh.
I stepped out. Was his
We gave
request?
him a little bit more last year, and I was thinking of giving him a little bit more this year. We're pale in comparison with the county gives them, but I think we benefit as much or more than the county.
I think last year we actually didn't meet his request, wasn't it? What was his request? I think his request was 75 and we gave him 50.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
Yeah, we actually
giving him 50, right?
yeah.
We've given him 50 in the past, but his request.
I'd have to double check. We didn't fully fund him last year,
Yeah,
so
we
this
didn't.
was an increase. This year was an increase closer to, I know what he asked for last year, so.
Yeah.
The 75 does stand out as what his request was last year.
Okay.
That would not, I don't,
I can just think of a couple of projects where the tax revenue is more than 50,000 in property taxes for us, so I think it's a.
What about PAC 14? I know that we would have some discussions with that. I didn't see that increase, and so that's what I'm asking about. So I definitely see the increase to go to PAC 14 or something like that, but
Yeah, that was on my list, too.
yeah, I would almost
Sean.
argue that if he didn't ask for that, or if that's not a necessity, I would almost see that 10 or something else go to,
I'd like to see increased PAC 14 only because of the issues they're dealing with now, with an increase in demands, and they're seeing a decrease in the percentage of funding they're getting.
Yep. And we've had some concerns about the lights in the park, and I don't see, is that
Lights in the park?
Yes.
I don't manage parks, so that'd be a
You
field ops
don't?
request. That's field ops.
that is, oof, boy. Okay,
I mean,
we should.
I book parks.
But you came to us. Who came to us about the funding for the community foundation? Don't we have a fund at the community foundation for the lights,
I manage
Christmas lights?
the Winterland of Lights.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's
Yes.
what you're talking about. Okay, got it.
Lights at the park. I'm not
I
talking
thought
about
you
this.
meant like actual
I'm not
steady
talking
lights
about
in the park.
No, sir. No, sir.
Yes, yes. We took over that.
Just to clarify, you do cover the Winterfest of Lights. at the
Winterfest
park.
of Lights.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Where is that as far as the funding? Is it?
The funding lives in that grant
Okay.
with the community foundation.
So that's what we've heard about just the conditions of those, and that's been a concern for a while. I would almost see us to put a little bit of funding there to get that.
Well, the winter lights, I think we've got a commitment out of GSC around phase 2, plan 2. Scott would be able to comment on that.
Yeah, we've been working with the Greater Salisbury community
Also got rid of. That's not, so we're in a new.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty deteriorated. It's pretty poor. We spent a lot of time trying to revive it, but it's finding the time to sit and do it. And but those things aren't cheap either. I mean, you're $20,000 to $25,000 a pop for a new piece. So
Yeah.
we try to bring life to the ones we have. I mean, we can get into the tree conversation all day, but that thing is a safety issue through and through, and that's hundreds of thousands of dollars. So,
Something else.
Yeah, well, for us, that's why we did the holiday lights downtown. We try to bring life down here. The park, park has its value, I get it, but if we're also trying to not have people in our parks after nightfall, it's
true.
better to have them downtown, at least here they're shopping and doing a little stuff down here, but.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a staple. I mean, when I was a kid, I thought about
I
driving
don't
through
wanna
there,
get
and
rid of
I mean, and the complaints, at least the ones that I heard about, people were furious. And I mean, I know we're trying to get people downtown, but I mean, again, the park is a staple for us. I'm talking about the zoo and how that we talk about the accreditation, and so we can't say, oh no, we don't want people to go down there because we want people to visit our zoo.
How about a romantic one?
And the
Oh, no, I'm not opposed to it, but it's.
and the lights are. I mean, I don't want to see us completely. Yeah, come back.
Not responsible.
Come back. Come back.
Okay.
Not,
I'm not just saying that, y'all always with me, but I'm just saying it's a nice place to have.
No, I agree. I agree.
A lot of people drive by.
Maybe we could
Because
have
a lot of people, I know when I was younger, now not now, because I'm doing too much walking. But when I was younger, I used to walk it through the park during the Christmas time and look at the lights and.
you drive through
love
there.
the scenery. You just love the scenery of being in the park.
Just maybe do something different instead of
just
all
look
the
different.
pre-planned.
I am not
Things.
opposed to doing more in the park. I just need
Yeah.
money to do more in the
Let's
park.
talk-
Right, that's
Yeah,
what we're talking about. Like,
Keep
Yeah, I
talking,
mean-
we'll help.
I'm trying to have the conversation now, and so let's.
$100,000.
Yeah, 100,000 comes
No.
comes to mind because you're going to have to buy a new place. The infrastructure is deteriorating. The electric would need work. We went through a whole packet with, which I'm happy to share with you guys.
Do that. Share them with the
Please.
packet that was
we
presented
collaborated with
for.
the Greater Salisbury Committee to try to figure out that phasing in. So
Okay, can you put that on there, and then please.
Got it.
Oh, you already perfect. So we may just, like I said, we got to do something.
There's a fundraisers to do it, or no?
So the tree was the staple that everyone got excited about. It's $80,000 to replace that tree. So we actually ended up doing something as a hybrid, working with, I forgot his name, who ended up putting the lights in, did a package. Robbie Anderson is his name, I forgot his name of his company. But there is this whole comprehensive package that if we wanted to spend money over there, that it is, I think it's a well thought out opportunity from a funding standpoint. But it's six figures, so we can share that with you if it's something we want to chip away at or leverage private-public partnership on getting that funding back. And again, but we can add it to the list, like you said.
What I'm making the argument is, and again, we know our financial picture, but you're not going to get necessarily anyone, and I'm not saying we go blow the budget on Christmas lights or holiday lights, but I'm just saying you're going to get few people that are going to say, oh, you all invested something in these holiday lights. I doubt you're going to get someone that's going to push back hard on us, even at least having the conversation on it. And we've heard it since I've been on the council, which has been almost 2 years now, about it's sad. And so I think we need to have a realistic conversation on it and begin to say, okay, what can we pocket away for this? Because I still remember how it felt to ride through there with my grandmother, and I rode through there this past year, the year before that, and it was like disheartening.
Yeah, it was like the little drum.
The little, yes, yeah, the little, and then the SBY with the and then the swans and with the music and everything. That's a staple for us, and we've gone away from all of our staples, and we got to keep some of our
And I
history.
think what really happens is, as time goes by and different leaders are in place, they tend to typically forget about those kind of things and move to something different. But I think it would be very nice for the families, the kids, even with the little thing they used to have in the park before, the little musicals during Christmas time. They have different organizations of all ethnic origins come out and do different things. All that's missing. Not along with the Christmas decoration, but a lot of that is missing. And I think that's something we should bring back to the city, because I loved it. Now I'm gonna tell you, I don't like cold, but I would go out there to see that. I would. I don't like to be in the cold, but I would actually go out to the park and watch that program.
There's a conversation to be had, too, about possibly making it a source of revenue so it becomes self-sustaining. Because I think we don't want to let it get to the point where it's gotten now, have that happen again. I think that there's something to be said for, creating a source of revenue for this, through this. And we could maybe have a conversation about what that would look like, because there's a lot of things. I know a few years ago they had, I would assume it was a huge undertaking and probably not worth the money that was spent on it. But there was a skating rink at the park. And that might be something that we could look at investing in, finding something like that, have a walk-through lights display. That would be something that, people could pay $5 a ticket to come in. And I'm sure people, if they know that the funding is going towards that, I think that people, there's an appetite for something like that. And I think we could probably have that discussion.
Could you also, I know years ago that they asked for people to sponsor certain things. In other words, a large snowflake that was going to be in downtown or on some of the areas, but designate different categories that if you as a business or as a family or families or neighborhood, you could have packages set up where you have, this is a small item you could sponsor, then this is a larger one, and that type of thing. And it means storage after it's time to put them up and storage to when you take them down. But that may be a way to offset the city having to fund this. So you're asking somebody, and they take their family down, that's ours. I know somebody who bought 2 of the big snowflakes, that's why I know.
And you have a sponsor list.
And you have sponsors, yep.
I have a suggestion. I think you're right. I think there's been a push a little bit to move stuff downtown. I think the park's still valuable. The vendor then, we can't think of his name, he did a lot for us last year. He's still interested in continuing the move. So why don't we do it this way? Why don't we pause that conversation and move the money from surplus once we've had a conversation and we know what the number would be to make it the next phase, because it's going to be done in phases. But the guy's been super helpful, and I can't think of his name.
I know his name. I have my thoughts on that particular
Okay.
vendor. Can we look at
Okay.
other vendors too?
Sure.
I would want us to look at another vendor perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mike Dunn had put that together, and,
Yeah.
and he has some money as well.
Sure.
So maybe we could do a little bit of match money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We got that on record. That's it.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm
All right.
up for it.
14.
If not,
Alan,
we'll,
off your list.
yes. If
I'm
we could see
good.
some movement today, because again, tomorrow ends discussions. But if not,
That's what I was saying. We could make the appropriation from surplus somewhere else. We wouldn't have to, let's say, deal with it in the budget right now. But I agree with you 100%. I just think we need a little more time to put something like that together.
We'll find that package and just have it for tomorrow.
thank you.
The one thing about the PAC 14, you were mentioning about funding it, I was doing some homework over here. It looks like an actual 2024, we did not spend the whole 115, and then the following year, we're already trending below that. Unlike some of our other partners where we just give them a check, it seems like this must be reimbursable. I'd hate to budget money that is not actually something that would be billed for, so let me drill down to see the why before we consider putting more money into a line item that, for the last 2 years, doesn't appear to be spending all of its
I know
allocation.
they had some concerns with the fees and all that, so yeah, we could look into that, and I know that Councilwoman DeShield is a representative for that commission, for that committee, so.
It's a matter of them giving us realistic franchise fees.
Okay.
And it's been, Sandy's been a great help in terms of trying to deal with the county finance and find out if we can expect and/or get a realistic audit. And it may take really, and Sandy's better at addressing the financial piece of this, but it may take deep pockets that Baltimore City took on with an attorney to make them come up with what they're responsible for doing. And unless, they're claiming their franchise fees are dropping, and yet we're not getting the benefit of internet fees or other things that they are also providing. So it's kind of, does that about sum it up, Sandy?
We had a meeting with the county and stuff, and they were supposed to be getting some reports for us so that we could see about doing an audit. I think they were even looking for the report from the last time an audit was done, and it was.
It's been 10 years.
Yeah.
When they were hired this time.
Wow.
It was an attorney that did the audit for the city.
Wow. Sorry, Mr. Swagger, I know we kind of derailed here, and I know we have some council members that have to leave here, so I want to make sure, I want to give you some more time to get through.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all I have for development services.
Okay.
Last but not least, the zoo.
Our favorite place.
Yes.
So operationally, not a lot of shifts happening in the accounts, no more additional staff. Thank you guys for last year for bringing on the fee that I did need, so we're in a good spot.
I think we
Yeah, no, you guys helped me out. I appreciate it. So we're right sized on staffing when it comes to daily operations and care. What I'm very proud of this team is you're seeing a big boost in special events and education. And I think that it's important to just remember the way, the mechanism of how they're funded within this budget. So inside of it, you see all these 0300 accounts. These are what we offset with revenue. So they are expenses that we need to use to do these events, to do these free programs, and to help the community get in there. But it does come at a cost. So that's the money that you see. A lot of it's been moved around to fine tune it. So some of them have zeroed out. Some of them just have C increases because you're seeing more and more events. I do have a document that I track on the back end that I could share with you that kind of helps tell us a little bit one-to-one, because what you're not seeing here is the revenue accounts associated with these expenses and how they offset. But the two biggest, honestly, like if we were to dive into it, there's only about $36,000 there that is actual like expenses to operate an event or a program. Meaning like you buy supplies, you rent tents or whatever that looks like. About $150,000 of that is directly for 3 full-time staff. So I just want to keep that in the forefront of your brains. That's our education department and our guest services leads that they are expected to make income to generate and cover their jobs and their salaries. So that is still a mechanism in there. It's kind of an old mechanism. For me, we moved from the Zoo Commission. Zoo Commission was an operating entity at one time. They did own animals. They ran programs. They were very involved, and they collected all of that revenue. We have since taken over the operations because the intent of the zoo and this commission, which will soon be the foundation, is to raise money for the exhibits as we need to build them. So I also have a file that we use to track all these builds that we go and some projected costs that I'd be happy to share. But in essence, it's a $10 million expense with some flexibility here and there as we go through each piece, but the projection is a big one that when you look at this foundation and board and you're asking them to go raise money, we have to be very specific with what we're needing them to do. And I don't think operational expenses are going to be at the top of their priority list anymore. It's going to be hyper-focused for the next 5 years on building these exhibits. So, and I say new exhibits, quad exhibit, sloth exhibit. I mean, it's a list of about 15 to 20 things and facility improvements that we've been working through. And that's where their intention's going to be. So, right now the mechanism is in place and it's okay. Eventually their funding support, which is $67,000 to help offset our staff costs, may or may not be there because their focus is going to shift. So I just want to bring that to your attention, that it's going to be something that we do have to look at one day and how we're funding our staff to do these programs. But I mean, you've seen the events, the G-Pops, the Earth Days, the Zoo Year's Eve. You're talking thousands of people come in for free. And we'd hate to charge, we at a certain point we can build these beautiful exhibits, but we have to figure out a way to maintain these beautiful exhibits. So revenue is going to be really important and really focusing on, the direct need for that money as we raise it. So, right now the numbers that you see on the revenue side, even though you might not have in front of you right now, they're modest, they're achievable. I think we got another year out of it easily to be okay. But I think it's just something to be aware of, which leads me into the CIP. So there was a shift in the CIP this year, which I'm excited about, where we did get $350,000 from that bond reallocation earlier last year, and we've done some amazing work with it already, checking off some big boxes. So an animal services building got completely remodeled. That was around $80,000. Eagle exhibit got completed, Hawk exhibit got completed. So these are big projects that require requirements of our AZA accreditation. The next 404 that we originally had was to check off about another 10 to 12 of these smaller projects. However, we're seeing a greater need right now and a desire for more interactive things at this zoo. The animals are great, but people want to touch, they want to feel, they want to learn, they want to experience other things. definitely is talking with our state partners. We're seeing that, they're looking for that thing that's drawing people into this area more than just the zoo. So the idea and the concept behind this, that I have a document that I sent. I don't think you guys got it. I'll share it with you when I leave. Is the idea of an interactive education center. So think of like a discovery center in essence, with some partnerships coming in to have different displays, 4-H M4 reactor, different people will be involved in this. What we're asking for is the 500 to kickstart this campaign. In essence, what you're seeing is a 10,000 square foot, 2-story facility. It takes our education department, which is already at max. The most they can get in that building is 30 people. So when you talk revenue, you're up to 30 and then you're tapped, right? This doubles that. It gives you secondary place. It gives you new classrooms. Most importantly, from a zoo operation, is the animal holding area that's on the west gate. It's kind of off the backside. It's a shed. It's a green building that you probably wouldn't even notice. It's completely deteriorating. It's falling apart. And we're putting Band-Aids on this thing that's going to have to be addressed long-term anyways. So why not address it in this campaign? So the idea of this building, it becomes your ambassador animal holding area with interactive exhibits. So ambassador animals are your education animals, not the ones that are out front all the time. But it's the ones that they take to programs. It's the one they use for, in-house story times and walking around the zoo and stuff. So it's the new holding for them that's going to have to be addressed at some point anyways. Plus the classroom, plus the offices for the education department that's growing, and this upstairs interactive, we keep saying museum. It's not necessarily a museum, but that's kind of a discovery center type feel to it.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a zoo, Philadelphia Zoo did this recently. I have some pictures in this diagram I'll share with you, that they adopted this model. Think of like the JA model. You have like all these little pods, right? It works. It gets people interested. It's an easy sell. And for me, more importantly, it does pose an opportunity for additional revenue. If this is done right and it's done to the extent that it can bring people in. It will pull people not only to the zoo, but into the county. And for me, that is a discussion we're going to have is, do we charge to come into something like this? But again, it at least allows us to expand our educational programming.
Thank you for going a little bit further. So I was just thinking about it. I actually just went to the DC zoo myself as an adult, right? Because it's amazing, but because they don't even know it. People from the other side of the pond, they don't even realize that there is a zoo in Salisbury, that we have the only other zoo in the state, and that ours is free. Baltimore Zoo is not even free. And so, but this right here, again, if we market it, in a way, this would not even just for youth, but for people and for family individuals. And you go to a zoo, you buy that $15 soda, you buy the $20 hot dog. I mean, you have all these things, and so those are not that we're just after the funds, but again, it brings people to our area. So that's a different spin on just, here's a center that we need to fill this accreditation, but this is bringing people to Salisbury, because again, I go to different areas for different events and for those kind of things, and so that's a different spiel on it, because again, you can go see a bear at a zoo, but that interactive learning center, and you get to see whatever cool animal there that you're interested in that is only in 4 zoos across the nation.
Right.
Bingo.
It's a good ticket item to
like
think
this.
considering
Okay.
adding. And again,
We have field trips, too.
It kinda
You
has
tap
to
into all the schools around, you bring those buses in and figure out how the school itself, even though it's a minimal amount for the children to participate, you could, I would hope, up that ante a bit, because they're getting a lot more than just, they've gotten before.
Just market it.
And market it. I mean, how many buses come in there for field trips every spring?
hundreds, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And go out of the county for it and bring the
yeah.
families in.
Like I said, we have a vet school coming in the area in
Yeah.
a couple years, so it just makes sense.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Any other?
Nice field trip.
I cut you off there. You're still going.
Oh, no, I was just trying to preface with, it's the right time to do it, is the way I'm looking at it. It's the program, they're having a banner year in our education department. I mean, they're setting numbers that they've never hit.
That's great.
It's growing. It needs to happen. We need the additional funding. We need the additional traction. We have to replace the holding anyways. Let's get some partners and do this right.
Can you send us because you said this will kind of get you jump started with that campaign. Do you,
Pass it out to him right now.
Yeah, I can answer you right now.
do you have?
Give him
The,
to him. Yeah. You can kind of see it real quick.
Christmas stuff going.
see what I mean? See?
All go together.
Christmas at the zoo,
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because you have the hollow scream. What is it called? Hollow scream. You had that before. This is when I was younger. You had the.
Halloween happenings.
That wasn't what it was called when I was a kid.
Jubilation?
It was called Hollow Scream, I'm pretty sure, or whatever it was. Anyway,
Could have been, huh?
Could have been, but anyway, years ago, I'm thinking. But that's again, my mom was not thrilled about going to the zoo. But then, if I'm screaming, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, I need to go to the zoo," she's going to take me. So if there's holiday lights and things going on, this is.
Well, the zoo's a delicate balance. You know, we try to be free and we try to be accommodating to everybody, but at the same time, there is a hard cost to operate, and we have to be cognizant of that as we navigate these projects.
What I'm. Okay, so this is like Discovery. I mean, they have some in Virginia Beach. They have some in. Okay, cool.
Yeah, they're pretty
What
good.
what my question was where exactly? So let's just say more or less if the funding comes at 250 or never mind. This may be the answer to that.
Two of them.
250
One's
versus-
it's not a breakdown of the costs associated with the building.
So is that this one is going to be the cost? No.
No, that's the AZA tracking sheet that we
so-
utilize.
If it's what's your fully funded amount and what's the if you have funded, if we get the 500, what are you able to do at the different increments? Can you kind of go over that?
Yeah, I mean, the goal is $1 million. I think that was kind of where we feel comfortable. This gets us there. But at the end of the day, we would still have to go through an engineering phase and an architectural phase. So, how the way this goes, you tell them what you want, they're going to tell you what the cost is, and then we work from it.
So the 100 is for the education center. No, I'm sorry,
500.
million.
Million would be the total cost.
You
That
don't
just
see $1 million necessarily in that.
You see $1 million on that because that's what the projected cost of the entire facility is. What we're asking for is 500, and then we'll get the match going in other capacities to get there.
Okay. So so is the whole 500 going to go to this education center?
Every
or
bit
is-
of it, yeah.
Okay, but that holding facility, that's a part of the education center. That's not. I thought you were asking. You're going to hit more than one bucket. So this is going to be all dedicated to the education center.
Exactly.
And Indian Bear, I thought that we were going to see some funds for that. You all are good for.
With Andy.
We're going to try to get AZA
Get you the Bears.
AZA accreditation first, and then work the Bears back into.
So that's being pushed.
Yeah, so
It's
in
a couple
that
years.
sheet, that's kind of like our, call it a holy grail of tracking of how we're going to get there. 2029 is the intended goal, but those things up top is kind of what has to
I
happen.
was fully expecting to see Andy and Bear this year. That's why I was.
Andy and Bear is a significant
Yeah.
push. You're talking 5 to 6 million. The problem with the Andy and Bear one is we could go all in on the Andy and Bear campaign right now and push really hard for it, but all of those other things are still going to be problems at the end of the day. If we get those other things addressed first, we can actually go for AZA accreditation before worrying about Andy and Bears, which opens doors to additional funding. So when we talk big dollars that we need AZA accreditation on our list to be able to get money from AZA to help us build these
I thought
bigger
we needed
facilities.
Bear. Cool. Okay.
Yeah, we still got our Bears, they're just not here, right?
I know.
I think it's awesome that you're bringing in other zoos you've found that would, just translate into what we needed.
Yeah.
So when I go to other zoos, that counts as me doing city council work. That's me. I'm doing some research. No, but I mean, like I said, and I'm telling people, I'm like, hey, we have a zoo in Salisbury. Come check us out.
Yeah,
and
take
we do
pictures.
events there.
Send it
so-
to me.
Yeah, we're free.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We're free. And so that reminds me, can you just, when you send these blasts out, or if you have a list of events, we would love to, because I'm not on social media that much, so just send the list of events to council members or to Julie so she can give it to us, so we can block out our calendars. So as soon as you know about it, send it to us, that way we can put it on our calendars, because they get
Cool.
filled up with things. So
Yeah,
and we
absolutely.
love to go to.
Well, Thursday is Chaska's retirement party, so
I
if you're
saw
coming
that,
out for
yeah,
that, we're just sending a little farewell.
I saw that.
But it'll be an update on the Andy and Bear exhibit. You get to actually see
Yeah.
some fly-throughs and the actual finished design.
What time is that Thursday?
5:30 to 7.
Okay, good, because PD's having it.
Earth Day is Saturday, so come on out to Earth Day.
Yes. And what's
1
that
to
time
4.
again? While we have some
1 to
people
4.
listening.
11 to 5, I believe.
I thought so. Okay, cool.
It actually went down.
Perfect. And today is Earth Day, so.
Yes, it is.
Anything else?
Not on my plate.
Council, any other questions for ABCD?
Thank you very much.
That answered everything. Thank you for that.
Thank you all.
Thank you for again, I know you're zoo and arts and events, but you're.
They
really-
did ask a question where you're now the events and culture manager, not the culture and events. And I said,
Yeah,
tomato,
that-
tomato there. So like, but
Good day.
Yeah, swap, yeah. I was like, what? That was but no, that's,
Yeah.
mix it up.
Cool, thank you. Anything else that you want to share while you're here?
I've just got a great team,
Yeah.
and we appreciate all your support. And it means a lot to us when you do come out
Yeah.
and you do show face and thank my team. They talk about it. They're excited about it.
When we
so.
came for the council president for the day, oh my gosh, that was, just to see the excitement of the zoo staff and everything there, and just, that they love their actual, they love what they do and they appreciate the animals. So it is amazing. And like I said, I tout you all, and I know my fellow council members do too, and we tout you everywhere. So
To feed them.
Yeah.
yeah. And I try to feed my dog, and that's a hassle. So, but we appreciate you all, though, honestly. So, thank you
Yeah,
again.
thank you all.
Thank you, team.